Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to WeLoveMetal.com. It is with my great pleasure and honor to welcome Carmen Appice to on the phone today. A true legend, and I don't use that term lightly. How are you doing today, Carmen?
I'm pretty good.
I just wanted to congratulate you on the new album. You must be pretty pleased with the initial reaction. They seem very positive.
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting great reviews. I mean, like 9 out of 10, 7 out of 8, those kind of things. And yeah, I'm really happy with it because, we just did this record for fun. We didn't, say, hey, look, let's do this record and have a total career change. You know what I mean? we just to have a good time, and so far so good.
And that actually leads to my next question. And with everything, I mean, that you've done in your career, from Ozzy to Rod Stewart to Blue Murder, I mean, why King Kobra now? Like, what burned that passion again in you?
Well, it just happened by accident, to tell you the truth. It all started when David Michael Phillips, our guitar player, is a computer programmer. He's a very intelligent guy. He worked for Intel. He worked on programs, and he's one of them guys that really knows how to write programs. And he was coming into town to go, believe it or not, up to Edwards Air Force Base in LA, outside LA, to go program some of the jet fighters for the U.S. Air Force. That goes to show you how important his job is.
Yeah.
So he came in and said, "Hey, I'm going to be there. Are you around?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, why don't we go out to dinner?" I go, "Okay." We've been in touch over the years, And so we went to dinner, and while we were eating, he said, Pat Regan, who's a guy that mixed a lot of my personal records that I've done with my Guitar Zeus records, my records with Pat Travers, just a lot of records, not King Kobra, what was it, Vanilla Fudge, and, so Pat's been a guy that's done a lot of my records. He's mixing a Keel record, he said, and you want to go and say hello? I said, sure. So we went to see Pat after dinner, and Dave used to play in Keel before he was in King Kobra for a minute. So he went to say hello to everybody. I said hello to Pat. I knew the Keel guys. A couple of them were there, and we said hi. And next thing we know, Pat says, hey, Frontiers did this label deal, with Keel. Maybe you should do this with King Kobra. And I said, wow, that's interesting. I never really thought about it. I did a King Kobra record in 2000 for a European label. And I didn't do it like with the original band. I just did it myself, and nobody wanted to do it at the time. So I had known that Mark Free wasn't going to do it, Marcy Free, and because we had a bit of a squabble about something. I was going to release a DVD, and Marcy Free didn't want it released, so I said, okay, fine, I won't release it, But I also know that, Mark Free left the band in '86 to go sing lighter rock. He didn't want to sing the heavy rock anymore. So I knew that I'd have to get a new singer. So I said, that's a good idea. So I said, Dave, you want to do that? He goes, yeah, I'd like to do an album. And so then we called Mick. Mick wanted to do it, and I knew Johnny wanted to do it. She's always on the phone with me anyway. And when are we going to do something? So basically we had that. So then Paul Shortino was involved in the Keel album, doing production on Ron Keel's vocal in Vegas. And I had worked with Paul before, and I thought he was an awesome singer. So I said, Dave, why don't we get Paul? Let's replace Marcy Free with somebody who has a bit of a name. So we all agreed. So I called Paul, and Paul was into it. He said, yeah, I'd love to do it. The next thing we know, Paul was in. We had the whole band ready to go. So we had this manager, was looking for a record deal, and we decided to do it on Frontiers because Frontiers has this market sort of cut out. The 80s thing was their thing, so we went with them. And we went into the record, and came out a lot better than we thought it was going to come out.
It's excellent, Carmen. It's a very organic process then, from start to finish.
Yeah, and even organic, but also with a lot of high-tech stuff, because we did the whole record basically by the internet. Because everybody lives in a different city.
Excellent.
So Dave lives in Phoenix. I live in LA and New York. Paul's in Vegas. Mick is in Fresno, and Johnny at the time was in St. Louis. So when we started doing this, it was me, Dave, and Paul got together in Vegas, as middle ground, and then Paul has his own studio. And Paul's a great Pro Tools engineer, so is Dave. And we, between meeting there, putting together song ideas, and then Dave going back to Phoenix, getting the ideas on Pro Tools, emailing them to us, I went back to Vegas with Paul, and we basically sat there and went through all the songs and rearranged them, cut and pasted different chords back together differently, and came up with all the songs. And we put hooks together and lyrics together and melodies, and next thing you know, we had songs. And I took them in the studio, put the drums on it, got it back to Paul's studio, put the vocals, background vocals, send it to Dave. He put bigger, more permanent guitars on it. And Johnny flew in, did the bass, and then we had Mick got tracks up in his studio, and then we mixed it in Germany by this guy Michael Voss. And so it became an international, thing to do this thing. It was great, and then the end product was so energetic and sounded just like King Kobra. It should have been our first album.
So it was quite a bit of a different process than, say, when you were recording Ready to Strike then.
Totally. I mean, Ready to Strike, we had the big budget, a big merch deal, big publishing deal, big record deal. We had plenty of money to fly everyone in, set them up in apartments, give them salaries, pay everybody money to get clothes, and we bought a stage set, bought a truck, we spent a fortune on the band,
Definitely.
And obviously didn't get the fortune back, and then put some of my own money into it because I didn't want it to die, and but this one was done very easy. The budget was pretty nil. Probably the smallest budget I've had to record a record in the last 10 years,
It certainly doesn't sound like it.
Yep, we did it, and we, through all of our experience, we did the drums analog in the studio called Hit Tracks in Vegas. The great engineer Tom Parran did a great job putting the drums together, recording on 24-track tape, and then bouncing it over to Pro Tools. And we had a hell of a drum sound. And, with any record, if you don't have a great drum sound, it starts from the drum sound,
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a great drum sound from the beginning of a rock record, you're screwed, So I know how to do that, and I certainly know how to play to a track, to the click, and make it sound live, and make it sound like there's, no click there, make it sound like, we all played in the same room, and Dave knows how to do that, and so does everyone else, really. And then when we mixed it, that guy, Michael Voss, did a tremendous job.
And it's amazing you say that, Carmen, because one of the things I said in my review was the whole album felt like you guys were just sitting around jamming. And it made it a really friendly record, like a really easy listening record. So
yeah, you're right. And again, it came around because, like when Johnny did the bass parts, he came in and did all the bass parts in one day. He didn't, it wasn't like, stopped every minute. He played the song right through, fixed a couple of parts, and that was it. It was like playing live. And he called me up and said, man, that was so easy to play to you. Your playing to you was so easy. And when I heard his bass parts, I thought he did a tremendous job. I was on the road with Michael Schenker, and this guy, Michael Voss, was actually involved with Paul Shortino's solo album. He did Gary Barden, who was the lead singer of Schenker at the time. He did his album. And he was mixing Schenker's live DVD while I was on the road with Schenker, and Paul sang background on it. So it was a natural to get this guy. It was like family, we were all working together anyway. So things just fell into place.